Over the weekend, Nigeria's Oluwatimileyin Idoko claimed victory at the 15th African Scrabble Championship in Kigali, Rwanda, outplaying a strong field of 92 competitors from 10 African countries over 4 days. At 32 intense, of course, round, Doko stood out with an impressive record of 24 wins and just 7 losses, clinching the title with a game to spare and succeeding compatriot Enoch Nwali as champion. Tonight, we will be speaking with Oluwatimileyin Idoko about Nigeria's Scrabble dominance and how the sport has grown in the country over the years. All right, Oluwatimileyin joins us this evening. Oluwatimileyin Idoko, good evening to you and welcome to Game On. I want to say congratulations to you.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, can you take us through the journey on how you became champion, of course, African champion over the weekend, how you were able to beat top players in the world of Scrabble towards getting that trophy?
This was a journey that started several months ago. I had to do several months of preparation to compete at a tournament of this caliber and do well. Actually, going into the tournament, I didn't feel as though I was at the level of preparation I wanted because I've had a lot going on this year. I only just recently completed my 5-year course in pharmacy at the University of Lagos, so I had to juggle a lot of things, but I was able to stay consistent with my preparation, and fortunately it paid off, and I was able to put up a good performance at the tournament.
All right, Oluwatimileyin, one beautiful thing about Scrabble, it doesn't respect age. You can be 40, you can be 10, and defeat someone who is 40 years of age. You played, with 92 players from 10 different African countries. The competition must have been fierce. What strategies do you rely on to secure 24 wins throughout 32 rounds?
Well, I basically try to take each turn at a time. So a Scrabble game is basically a composition of several moves. So each player takes a move or takes a turn over, say, 10 to 15 turns, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most points is the winner. So I try to take each move at a time and try to make the best move every turn, and yeah, that was my strategy.
Okay, sorry?
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I think it's on record. I'm not sure we've had a younger champion in Africa. I think you are perhaps the youngest African champion. Congratulations once again. And you mentioned that you just finished a 5-year course in pharmacy from the University of Lagos. That's really impressive because you were a student at the University of Lagos when you won a championship in Lagos. There was also a Pan-African tournament, and you had some good money as prize money. So I'm sure Scrabble really helped you throughout in terms of empowering you to live like a big boy while you were while you were in the University of Lagos. But on a more serious note, what's the next thing for you? Because we've had a world champion before, and Nigeria is maybe the leading Scrabble playing nation in the world, because we have about 4 Nigerians in the top 10 in the world, and we have about 8 in the top 20, if my records are still accurate. So what's next for you? What's your plan? How do you want to transfer your success in Nigeria, in Africa, to make an impact at the world stage?
Well, the West African Scrabble Players Association Championship happens next year in Ghana. So that's very close to home, and I will definitely be starting my preparations early, as well as other players in Nigeria, I'm sure, so as to put up a strong performance at the championship. So I hope to continue to do well and to surpass my success so far, even at the world stage.
That's good. Similarly, I'm aware, that you had a very nice cash reward after you won this tournament. I will not disclose what the fee is, but for
only for those of us who are managing
exactly. But for those people watching at home right now, some people are thinking to themselves, how is Scrabble a proper competition? How is it a proper sport, right? And so for those that have the interest and for those that are actually good at it, what advice can you give to them into going into Scrabble competitively?
Well, I would say that competitive Scrabble is a very good game to get into, a very good venture to get into, because it combines a confluence of skills that are applicable in all areas of life. To become a good Scrabble player, you need logical logic, critical thinking, memorization. You build your vocabulary as well. So I would say anyone interested in getting into the game, I would encourage them to, and I would encourage them to put in the work as well that it requires to improve at the game. Just like anything else, it involves a lot of consistency and constant practice. And if that is carried out or if that is done, one can become as good as possible.
I similarly, and congratulations to you once again. I hope this question is just not too gigantic for you because of your stature in the game in terms of, I mean, your age. I mean, you're young, but you're also Nigeria's #2 player according to the ranking. So I think you should be able to tackle this question. And it's about, the state of the sport. Yeah, are you satisfied with where Nigerian Scrabble is right now? Tony reeled out the stats, a couple of moments ago. We've got 4 players in the top 10 in the world, extended to a top 20. We've also got some presence in there. But, I mean, you look at, Scrabble in Nigeria, do you think that more could have been done? I know that there used to be the Godswill Akpabio Classics, the Lekki Classics as well, and a couple more. But right now, where you stand, do you think that more could still be done? Or are we okay where we are right now as far as Nigerian Scrabble is concerned?
Well, not at all. I think there is a lot that can be done to grow the game of Scrabble in Nigeria. I think the major problem we face in the Scrabble scene is a lack of support and sponsorship from the government and private individuals. So I think Scrabble needs a lot of exposure, needs a lot of support. The players in the tournaments in Nigeria are doing really well. I think they deserve more support, financially and otherwise, from the government and well-meaning individuals. So I think, yes, there is a long way to go. We've made a lot of progress, but there is a long way to go with growing the game in the country.
All right, Timileyin, before we let you go, I would like to ask, I mean, in the world of Scrabble, we already know one man, Wellington Jegere, who, of course, have done a lot over time to take Scrabble to where it is right now in the Nigerian scene and in the African scene. We also have the likes of Peter Moses. For you, having gotten to this point, is one thing to get to the top, is another thing to also maintain that level. How do you hope to maintain this level, knowing fully well that it doesn't end here? We have lots of tournaments, lots of people are looking forward to get back to #1 sport. How do you hope to, put this pressure behind you and, push on and then, of course, keep the consistency?
Well, I'll just stay practicing. I want to continue to become better, not to become complacent, but to continue to challenge myself, try to improve every day. I will try to continue to improve.
All right, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Oluwatimileyin Adoko, for your quality time. Once again, congratulations. We'll be looking out for you, and hopefully one day when Scrabble makes it to the Olympics, we can say, okay, we're looking forward to have
Olympic
medal from the sport of Scrabble. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, interesting one. And over, in this part of the world, some persons think Scrabble is just to, while away time, just to, relax. But it's actually a sport you can win medals, you can actually win, lots of things from, and you can also be amongst the very best in the world.
The last African Games was the first time Scrabble made it to the African Games. It was I don't know whether it was a scoring event or a demonstration sport, but the fact that he was able to get to the Africa Games means that there is a lot of hope, of course, for Scrabble. So that's where it starts. If you can maintain a presence at the African Games, then you can hope that one day maybe it could sneak into the Commonwealth Games and then maybe become an Olympic sport. But, the interesting thing about, Wale asked about the state of Scrabble in Nigeria. I know the amount of work that is being done by the Scrabble Federation. And as Timileyin said, these guys are using their sweat and their blood to get Nigerian teams to compete, to get them out to international competitions. And these competitions, most times, are ranking and scoring events. So there is a need for a lot more in terms of corporate support. They do all of these things with little or no government support. And, there is a need to let this thing distill to schools. Timileyin just graduated from Unilag. The guy that is #1 in Nigeria, was a student of Unilag as well. I don't know whether he has also graduated out of Unilag. So schools play a key role in the development of a game like this, and it is very useful to schools because it builds your vocabulary, it helps your logic, it does. It's critical thinking. It's a mind sport like chess and the other one. So it's important for us to be able to distill this Scrabble to schools. Let schools imbibe it, and then we'll keep churning out these champions, keep churning out these world beaters.
All right, we'll wait to see how it goes, of course, in the next few months, next few years, how well Scrabble has really developed in Nigeria. But let's quickly move on to the world of basketball. Let's let you know that the Nigeria Basketball League is currently ongoing. Defending champions of the Nigeria Basketball Premier League continued their winning streak. That's, of course, Rivers Hoopers defeating Police Baton with a decisive 87-58 score, making it 3 straight wins in the 2024-25 season. Now, the Kingsmen had previously overpowered the Oluyole Warriors of Ibadan and Delta Force, showcasing their dominance in the league. Now, with sights, of course, set on claiming their title, of course, that they won last year, the Kingsmen are also competing for an opportunity to represent Nigeria at the Basketball Africa League. Wale, as it stands, it looks like no team at the moment can stop Rivers Hoopers as the Nigeria Basketball Premier League is concerned.
Oh, yes, clearly the best team in Nigeria. And, they are a level or 2 levels above
3, 4, 5 levels.
So you
above
expect
the
them to always coast. But I don't know if this is good for Nigerian basketball. Although sometimes monopoly can be good, because what we've also seen is that they've also translated this continentally. We saw them at the BAL.
Finishing third, I think.
They finished third, and they played some good basketball. Even as much as they also had the helping hand by drafting in a couple of players. But I mean, you have to do whatever you have to do. So I'm hoping that the rest can step up. But once again, it is a divided conversation if their monopoly or their dominance is good for Nigerian basketball. Because right now, it's like Ahmed Musa playing the MPFL. You could see that it's clearly better than the guys
even at his age.
Even at his age, you could see it, and that's why they tell you that meet a professional and probably comes to play grassroots football in 5-a-side.
You see the difference.
You see the massive difference. You probably see Harry Maguire scoring hat tricks or whatever, because they've done this time and over again, and that's why you're seeing Rivers Hoopers would definitely, annihilated Police Barton in here. So I credit to them, but hey, they are also doing the right things. They've got a fantastic organization. They've got a fantastic front office. If you want to use the American, lingo in here, they run the club very, very well. I think they've also got support from the government.
Absolutely, that's
regularly.
That's key.
So if other basketball sides can also take a cue from what they probably make it.
That's the difference.
Before we move away from basketball, I mean, back in the days, I think 2015, 2016, we used to have Kwara Falcons dominate. Oluyole Warriors were not this poor. Is it a case of the teams in Nigeria, especially Kano Pillars also in the north? We have Mark Mentors. Is it a case of not having much of a financial investment in these clubs to be able to attract the big players when you want to compare them with Rivers Hoopers? Because at this moment, Rivers Hoopers seem to be coasting away when we know that we have quality teams in the past who have also dominated the scene of basketball in Nigeria.
2 factors for me. Number 1 is finances. Number 2 is having administrators who are passionate about basketball. So Rivers Hoopers have that. Aside having the finances, Rivers Hoopers are doing strategic recruitment. Now, during the BAL, they had access to foreign players who were not Nigerians, who they could recruit to play for them. Now, talking about this tournament, they've recruited more Nigerian players. They recruited Michael Okiki. He has experience playing, in the BAL. He's a very, very good point guard as well. They also recruited Samuel Sani. He's 18 years old, but that boy is playing fantastic basketball. And they've recruited like 3 or 4 other players who have complemented the team. So for me, one thing I always love about them is the fact that they do their business discreetly. You never hear in the media that there is a rumor about Rivers Hoopers about to get a player. They announce when they want to announce. They did the same thing at BAL. I saw that strategically. And when I saw the caliber of the players that were recruited for BAL, I was like, wow, Rivers Hoopers actually has that pool. And then when talking about our local league right now, it's a no-brainer. They're one of the most successful. I believe they pay the highest, definitely, they have to do. But aside that, they create an enabling environment for their players to thrive. They've got a good coach as well. And honestly, they are playing good basketball.
So their coach is a national team coach, Ogadaudu. So he's been there and is tested. And as you said, Rivers State government are bankrolling
100%.
Rivers Hoopers. So 100%. They can recruit the best players, they have the best welfare package, and naturally, professionals float to where they are well paid, to environment where they are able to give their best. And it will continue like this for a long time.
But take a look at the state of the courts.
By the way, you mentioned Daudu, right? And I remember sometime early this year, right? Daudu and some members of the technical team even went to do like shadowing
in the US.
In the US,
of course, it was on the bills of the NBA Africa because they did well at the bars. It was I think it was the coach, one of the coach of the tournament.
So all of that
for bars,
all of that elevates you
of course
to another level, even from a technical standpoint. So that you can see why Rivers United are heads and shoulders.
Ogodadu is the coach of the local, the home base Tigers. So that's why it's just a pity that, you know, in the past, Kano Pillars used to be a formidable force. Gombe Bulls, Plateau Peaks. These teams were bankrolled by the state, and they were also competing with Royal Hoopers. But it looks like all of them have taken a backseat.
But you can probably track it back to the period the hiatus the league itself suffered.
The court case that altered the basketball league.
A lot of people don't realize that the basketball league has been in comatose for years.
I think that divide was very bad.
And
it has not fully recovered till now.
That was the beginning of the end of some of these clubs, because I remember the Savannah Conference was very competitive.
And the Atlantic Conference.
All the time, it was always home and away basis.
Yes.
Even in the Savannah and the Atlantic Conference.
But now, play your league,
you know, due to lack of adequate facilities, now they are limited to specific courts. It's terrible.
Anyways, we hope that in the coming weeks or days that we can have, you know, not just having the teams be in one particular region. For instance, they are currently in Benin City and they will move again to another region. We hope that we can have, you know, home and on proper basis to give the fans a glimpse of, you know, what to expect from their respective players. Let's move away from basketball and give you updates following the successful debut at the African Beach Sambo Championships in Morocco. Nigeria's reputation in martial arts continues to grow. Now, the Nigerian team is set to make its first appearance at the 2024 World Sambo Championships held in Astana, Kazakhstan from November 6th to 10th. Now, the tournament will feature men's and women's sports sambo, men's and women's combat sambo, and men's SVI1 totally blind athletes blind sambo. Now, it will take place at wrestling place named after Zaskilik Ushkempirov Martial Arts Palace in Astana. Now, a total of 31 medals will be awarded, with athletes from 80 countries participating in sambo.
It's interesting because it's a new variant of
martial arts.
Martial arts, mixed martial arts or martial arts.
I will still term it under martial arts due to the uniform they wear and some of the rules.
And the rules, okay. So this is a new variant of it. The more you have, the merrier. Whatever you can deploy to get kids off the street and to, show what abilities they have is always welcome. And let's hope that it's something that we can build on, but not neglecting the ones that are more established, the judo, the karate, the wrestling, the kickboxing, and all of that. We're having a lot of this, and the Nigerian, the average Nigerian is strong.
He's a combatant.
Apart from eating Eba, favor, we are fighting against physical and spiritual forces every day.
And economic forces. So the sport has got origin from the Soviets.
And you know the way it is at the moment. When you see that, for instance, you are moving from point A to point B and you're getting 1,000 naira for a distance of maybe
you decide to walk. You decide to walk.
Trek, so you
are building your stamina, and then
but I always like to see sports like this. Not every time we should be thinking about laurels. You know, not every time. But I would love us to see sports like this. We mentioned Scrabble the other time as also a way of empowerment. I was watching something in South Africa. La Liga has a plan for the girls in South Africa. And they said it point blank, we are not trying to discover talent. We just want to empower the community.
Let people just enjoy themselves.
Exactly. Let people know that you can empower yourself, you can defend yourself. I mean, with Sambo, self-defense. With Scrabble, it's critical thinking that can be important for the society.
That self-defense is really important.
So I think that sometimes you should look past. Nigeria goes to this channel for not laurels every time. Because you like it or not, you cannot beat the originators of this sport.
Of course.
This has origins from the Soviets.
Yes.
They are better than us on this. So I'm not saying that we cannot reach the top at a point in time. But we should always also look at another point of view and say, okay, yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
All right, away from the Sambo Championship, let's quickly move straight to the world of tennis and let you know that world number one, Yannick Sinner, has withdrawn from the Paris Masters indoor event due to an intestine virus. Sinner assured since mid-October of finishing the tier top of the rankings for the first time in his career at the age of 23, but has been replaced in the draw by Frenchman Arthur Cazot, who was drafted in from qualifying. Now, Cazot will face either his compatriot, Corentin Moutet, or American Ben Shelton in his second round opener on Tuesday. Now, organizers have said Sinner was suffering from an intestinal virus contracted before he arrived in Paris. Now, Sinner is then expected to take part in the Davis Cup finals the following week in Malaga, Spain. Now, Italy, of course, are the defending champions. While Yannick Sinner will not be part of the Paris Masters, and but he's guaranteed of the first place finish.
Yannick Sinner is a joker. You know why? 3 weeks ago, he went over to Saudi Arabia, played an exhibition involving only 4 players. They call it 6 players. They call it the 6 Kings. The winner got $6 million. That's the highest in tennis history.
$6 million.
He won it. He actually did win it.
Wow.
And now they asked him, was money and motivation? He said, no, it was a sporting challenge.
Absolutely.
And Carlos Alcaraz, ahead of Paris, said, see, I won't lie. I went there because of the money.
Absolutely.
I got $1.5 million for finishing second. And guess what? The next day, Yannick Sinner develops an intestinal
virus,
which he didn't have when he was supposed to collect $6 million in Saudi Arabia. But I can understand. Everybody's keeping themselves fresh for the final, the ATP season-ending, competition. I think is in Turin. So I can understand that it needs to be fresh. But sometimes
and there must be a good reason for you to miss out.
Correct.
Because there could be a sanction for you.
But this excuse doesn't fly.
So let's give him the benefit of the doubt that sometimes too much money can give you
affect you. Let's not forget that, when it comes to the ATP, there are certain tournaments that top seeds are mandated to compete at.
Absolutely.
And I'm quite sure that this sickness, quote unquote, excuses him according to the books.
Yeah.
So
just get a medical report.
Exactly. So he's playing it safe at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, the Paris Masters is a very, very important. It's an ATP 1000. So ranking 1000 ranking points up for grabs. You always want to be in the mix. The best players are there. Although there's no Novak Djokovic, so I think it just opens the floor for Carlos Alcaraz to go and win this one.
Maybe an upset along the line. It's a possibility.
Let's see how it goes in the Paris Masters. Of course, we've come to the first half of the show. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking all things football. Thank you very much for staying with us. You're still watching Game On News Central TV. It's time to go straight to the world of football, and was all smiles on the faces of Super Falcons as forward for Lashade Ijamilusi delivered a stunning hat-trick, scoring in the 10th, 18th and 86th minute to lead Nigeria to a commanding 4-1 win over Algeria's Green Ladies in an international friendly at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Lagos State. Now, this triumph follows Nigeria's earlier 2-0 victory over Algeria at the Rebel Stars Stadium in Ikenne, Ogun State. Aluche Wasila found the net in the 42nd minute, offering a brief glimmer of hope for Algeria, but it wasn't enough to overcome the Justin Madugu-led Super Falcons, who continued their winning momentum. Super Falcons did a double over Algeria, and only one goal was scored by the away side. A good friend you want to say for Justin Madugu?
Yeah, decent, but all of the fanfare surrounding it is what I'm not understanding. I went through the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, and I thought we're probably playing, Brazil, but it's all to celebrate everything. Yeah, but it's a good test for the girls. Get to know each other. Sometimes it's not about the chemistry on the pitch. Sometimes it can be the chemistry of the pitch. The relationships. Sometimes titles are built on relationships. Off the pitch. So I think it's also good for the coach to know the players. For the players to also know the coach, because it's a new coach on the saddle. But the level of the competition, just fair enough. But you have to take advantage of the international break, and I was happy that we could, make sure that the girls were in action. The AFCON still comes up sometime next year. The WAFCON is in Morocco sometime next year. Hopefully they can get more games under their belt. But credit to the girls. On Saturday was Rashida Tajibade, scored a brace. Now it's Folashade, an unknown Folashade. So, right now everybody is aware of that name, and I hope that she can continue to push on. And I'm hoping Justin Madugu has also been pointed, a couple of players that they can go on and, build a spine. I thought the Olympics, we had a spine that we in midfield, Deborah, Demey, and the rest, and hope we can discover more.
All right, Toyi, Justin Madugu seemed to have been able to take courage to invite home-based players. He was part of the best year of Basaki's Cup. He saw some girls play, and he was able to keep faith in them. And you would say that the team at the moment is competitive for even the foreign-based players to just walk into the team.
Yeah, that's the essence. I mean, it's a good run-out for those who came around, the home-based players and the few foreign pros that were in the team. It's also good for Madugu, the transition from Randy Waldrum to his time as coach has gotten off to a good start with 2 wins in 2 games. It's good for the confidence of the team, and it's good for the new player, Jamie Lucy, who got a hat-trick. That's how you start your international career. I mean, hit the ground running. So it's good. We don't get too many opportunities for friendly games with the women's team. The window for the women's game is very different. It's not very well developed like the windows that we have for the men. So whatever opportunities we have to play these kind of games is always welcome. Yeah. And for us to have been able to play 2 and then move the girls from Ikene then to Lagos gives a feel of traveling around and making it a little bit more competitive. So it's welcome, and we now look forward to another opportunity whenever we get it to play a friendly game. And since we are not even sure yet, CAF hasn't come out yet with the details of what the WAFCON will be. It's really hampering planning because you don't know when. The WAFCON for this year has been moved to next year. There's going to be another WAFCON in 2026.
And next year is even choked up.
And next year is too choked. So a lot of people are wondering, and CAF hasn't come out to state clearly. The Moroccans are hosting a lot of competitions. Will they still have an opportunity of hosting the women? So these are the things that is making it difficult to plan with the women's game. But I'm happy that whichever way, our girls are busy, they are playing, and they are keeping themselves in shape.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget that there's been a change in the playing style under Justin Madugu. Under Randy Waldrum, we seem to be very well, packaged defensive unit. But our problem was in front of goal. Now Justin Madugu has come in, switched up the formation, playing a 4-3-3, and now we see the girls a bit more expressive, the girls scoring goals.
Against Algeria.
Yeah, but against Algeria, but at the end of the day, I think it's the Super Falcons' first top flight.
In 2 games.
Yeah, and our first top flight, friendly since probably 2021, if I'm not mistaken, on home soil anyway. But then again, I think the major takeout for me has to be, the players from the NWFL. And let's be honest, over the last 2-3 years, the NWFL has been doing very well. So having players like, Ijabi Lucy coming into the squad and scoring has been good. However, I do remember that there's some notable absentees in terms of the foreign-based players. The likes of Ushuala, the likes of Ashley Plumter, she's coming back from injury, Michelle Alozie and co. So I'm thinking, does Madugu have a different directive as to how, definitely in terms of the playing style, his own approach is different. But in terms of personnel as well, are we beginning to see a new era with the Super Falcons, Ajibade being the captain, So things are looking a bit different, but good at the same time. We can only hope that, they continue to grow in good strides and continue to do the nation proud.
All right, we hope they can go in good strides and continue to do the nation proud. By the way, in Ikene Remo today was, of course, the draws for the Nigerian National League 2024-25 season. Now, of course, the fixtures for this season, the star match of the season, which kicks off on 30th November, will be between Abakaliki FC and Madiba FC. According to the draws held on the sidelines of its pre-season seminar, match day 1 of the Conference A will see Sporting Lagos be on bye, while Solutions FC battle Rovers FC. First Bank of Lagos will host Osun United with Gateway of Abeokuta meeting Godswill Akpabio FC. Other, of course, fixtures will see the likes of course, Madiba right on your screens. You can see the games and, of course, the fixtures on your screen. First Bank against Osun United. Gateway will take on Godswill Akpabio FC. Con Khalifa will take on Emalex FC. Solution will take on Rovers FC. Eden FC will take on Abia Comet. 1472 FC will take on Igbajo FC. Beyond the Meat against Dakada FC, and of course Warriors will be up against Crown FC. A series of fixtures that would go down. That's after the main fixture on the 30th of November 2024. Also, a preseason seminar for coaches and media officers of club, of course, was held with coaches like Abdul, Maikaba, Bala, Nkiyu in attendance, top coaches right there when it comes to the world of football in Nigeria. Right, joining us to talk about, of course, the draws that were made, is the chairman of the Nigerian National League, George Alu, joins us this evening. Good evening to you, sir. Welcome to Game On.
Thank you very much. Good evening, my dear.
All right. Thank you very much for joining. Okay, all right. Let's quickly go straight to the draws that were held today in Ikene. With the season kicking off soon, what should fans expect from the NNL this season?
Thank you very much. You see, we've rejigged the draw today in Ikene, and it was a very good one. And it was witnessed by the media officers of all the 36 clubs and the coaches. So it was a full house, and at the end of the day, we've seen interesting draws. The big one being the newcomers to the league. Talk about Abakaliki FC taking on Madiba. Madiba missed promotion by the Whiskers last season. They were a very fantastic team, very young team from Lagos. They were in the Super 8 in Enugu, but unfortunately, they did not make it to the Premiership. So it's good. They will be on parade in the very first match of the season, and that will be against newcomers, Abakaliki FC, and that is a Conference A game. And that game will come up on the 30th of November in Abakaliki. After that week, then by the first week of December, all the other week one matches will go ahead. So we had to rejig the draw against the backdrop of the complaint that was brought forward by some clubs after the draw that we did in our AGM in Bauchi. So as a listening board, we looked at the complaints and felt, okay, given the situation where road travel is very difficult in our dear country, and the complaint from clubs was that they were paired against opponents that are very far from their domain. So what we did was to now rejig the draws, and we now have Conference A and B having 11 clubs, and Conference C and D having 7 clubs. And this decision was taken after due consultation with NACOMA, and that is NACOMA is the body of club owners and league managers of the Nigerian National League. So everybody is happy with the pairing that we did today in Ikene, and you know, we decided to do it in the midst of the seminar that is taking place here in Ikene.
Well, Chairman, well, congratulations on a successful AGM. It's still ongoing anyway, but so far so good. But I want you to give us more details of how the season would go and what the promotion procedure would be. You have divided them into 4 conferences, Conference A, B, C, D. How will the promotion of teams, how will you get teams promoted? How many teams are coming from Conference A, how many from B, how many from C, and how many from D? And this division, is it following the South and the Northern division of the country, or you just mix the teams together? Because I'm seeing Godswill Akpabio, I'm seeing Kon Khalifa, I'm seeing Abakaliki, you know, looks like that's strongly southern zone. And then when you look at the conference, you are seeing Gombe, Sokoto, Zamfara. So it looks like the divide is not a conference and a southern conference. But how will the promotion be done at the end of the season? Are you having a special playoffs, or teams just automatically get promoted at the end of the season?
Thank you very much, Ibitoye, for that question. The setting is like this. We have in Conference A 11 clubs. Conference B will have 11 clubs. Conference C will have 7 clubs. And Conference D will have 7. Like I told you, we looked at proximity in arriving at these 4 conferences. So we don't want the teams to make too much of travels. We are looking at a situation where you will not travel more than 400 kilometers from your base. And having achieved that, Conference A will have 2 teams going for the Super 8. Conference B will have 2 teams qualify for the Super 8. Conference C and Conference D, all of them will have 2 teams qualifying for the that is the Super 8, the season-ending Super 8. And if you're talking about relegation, the decision too is that 3 clubs will be relegated from Conference A, 3 clubs from Conference B, and 1 club each from Conferences C and D. Let me take that again. 3 will be relegated from Conference A from the 11, and 3 will be relegated from Conference B from the 11, and then 1 each will be relegated from Conference C and Conference D. And the reason being, if you look at the conferences, Conference A has 11 teams, Conference B has 11 teams, and Conference C and D have only 7 teams. So the board decided that we'll relegate 3 each from the conferences where you have 3 teams, where you have 11 teams, and relegate 1 each from the conferences where you have only 7 teams. So at the end of the season, we'll still be left with, we'll now be left with 34 clubs. We'll have 36 clubs now. At the end of the 2024-2025 season, we'll be left with 32 clubs. And the reason why we are doing this is we eventually want to bring down the number of NNL teams from 40 that it was. We've reduced it to 36 this season, and by next season, we'll reduce it to 32. And then if we reduce it to 32, we can then decide to play only in 2 conferences. That will be Conference A and B.
Fantastic.
All right, Chairman, thank you very much for giving us in-depth analysis and what to expect this season. We'll keep in touch, and hopefully before the season commences, we'll also get to hear more. But thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much. You guys are doing a great job, and I hope you continue to support Nigerian football the way you are doing.
All right, thank you very much. Let's quickly move on to some stories of football in Europe. Talking about the Ballon d'Or, it's no longer news. Rodri is the Ballon d'Or, 2024 Ballon d'Or winner, but there's a lot of talks about him deserving the award, him not deserving the award. But Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola insisted that Rodri was the worthy winner of Ballon d'Or, insisting no elite group had decided the Manchester City midfielder should be crowned the world's best footballer. By the way, for Vinicius Junior, there's been talks in Brazil, injustice. Journalists and politicians in Brazil have criticized Rodri being voted the winner of the Ballon d'Or ahead of Vinicius Junior. I'd like to get your take on this, Wale Adigun.
See, I mean, Vinny didn't win it because Rodri deserved to win it. I mean, both of them are deserving winners. That's the truth. I don't agree there's been a robbery here. If Vinny had won it, I wouldn't have been surprised. Rodri was deserving, had a fantastic season, won the Euros. I mean, we've gone through this all of today and last night. So it just tells you the importance of this individual gong, how it is important to super clubs like Real Madrid. I think for City also, the Ballon d'Or now legitimizes them as a super club that can sit amongst the very best of clubs in Europe. Okay,
all right, let's give you updates also from the games played at the moment, the EFL Cup. Some games are ongoing, and while we keep track on the game, the EFL Cup is also known as the Carabao Cup. And just to give you updates on that, but then if our producer cannot put it on the screen, we just let you know that also Diogo Jota will be out until after November international break. Liverpool forward, of course, sustained a rib injury, and he will also be ruled out for the club. He was not part of the team that played against Arsenal over the weekend. And we here in Manchester, Sporting Lisbon have confirmed Manchester United's interest in recruiting their Portuguese coach Ruben Amorim and their willingness to meet his €10 million release clause. Okay, go for him or go for another coach?
He's a good catch. He's young. He's got good tactics. If you are thinking long term, that's a good coach for you. But know that the culture of football in Manchester United is going to change.
All right. Let's give you update. Arsene Wenger, by the way, we hear he will lead a FIFA task force on player welfare amid concerns about football calendar. And must say a big thank you to you, our guests this evening, Wale Adigun, Toyi Bitoye, and Okpade Barry for your quality time. Of course, time is not our friend. We wish we could go all the way, but thank you very much for coming through.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, and before we go, in 2008, at the German charity event, Bayern Munich's famously intense goalkeeper Oliver Kahn was invited to participate in a penalty shootout with a group of 9-year-old children. Now, the premise was straightforward. Each goal scored by the children would result in a donation to a children's charity. However, in an unusual display of competitive spirit, Kahn didn't let up. Now, despite the playful setting, he saved every penalty shot, refusing to concede even a single goal accounts on yielding determination and refusal to go easy on the young players left spectators astonished, and the charity port unexpectedly empty. How can be clear?
It's a simple thing. All the charity will come from Oliver Kahn. All the charity.
All right, that's of course the size of the show. I want to say thank you to your viewers for taking our time to watch this edition of Game On, and Favor Itwa. The news is up next.